Hi, my name's Kevin Booth. I'm a queer writer and visual artist, and on this post I read some of my work which is awaiting publication. Robbie and the Turkey. 1984. When Mum came to stay, I was living in a foreign country for the first time ever, carving out an exotic existence for myself across the big ditch. True, I had sacrificed my budding career as a young actor at a professional theatre for a string of factory jobs. That meant hauling myself from the sack every morning at 4:30 a.m, catching metro and then bus out into far-flung industrial wastelands. Fear of that impending early start would often keep me up drinking nights, so I was regularly getting sacked for too many no-shows or lates. But the work was easy to find, and by changing factories every month or two, at least I broke the monotony. I boxed sellotape and sticking plaster or bagged 40-kilo sacks of chocolate milk powder every day, returning exhausted on the afternoon bus, caked head to boots in a paste of chocolate milk and sweat. I was also temping as a waiter and bar person in the evenings, learning how to pull a proper magazine head on the tricky Sydney bar tabs. I'd even scored my first acting job, syncing an Eddie Cochran impersonation for Lonnie Lee's Rock and Remember show. The organisers were two ageing rockers, that said Lee and Vince somebody, who was a radio DJ. We performed on the back of an articulated trailer to which they had attached a large canvas banner advertising the gig. Lee had a past career as a rock and roll artist, though long before my brief brush with his faint stardom. The gig scored me a grand total of one performance, which I never got paid for. 40 years later, though, I still know all the words to Summertime Blues and Come On Everybody, off by heart. I'd also moved out of that grimy Potts Point hostel, which was my first Sydney home, so I no longer hung out in King's Cross pubs. I was close to cool urban glebe, where some friends flattered together. Though my economic straits had shunted me slightly further out into the less cool but slightly inner city suburban wilderness of Leichhardt, now as famous as Sydney's Little Italy, but back in late '84 it was still Studentsville. Our place was an old carriage house, 3 bedrooms upstairs and 2 down. Its upper story built over a tunnel-like alleyway that led to former stables in the backyard. The living room, kitchen, bathroom and laundry extended in a line down alongside the alley, each room a couple of steps below the last. Of my 4 other flatmates, Max, with a punky 80s hairdo, was one of the loudest, regularly going OTT, or as we called it, maxing it. Then there was a thin anonymous guy who always wore a shirt and tie, even to bed it seemed, and lived entirely on white bread and jam. But we rarely saw him, except when he scurried forth for more carbohydrate sustenance. Mike was far friendlier. He was a film student who was studying documentary at the Australian Film and Television School. He would be the catalyst for me leaving Sydney, hitchhiking the length of the Murray River and ending up in Melbourne. But that story comes later. And finally, there was Robbie, the star of this tale. Quite short and pleasantly muscular, without being pumped. He had a sexy stubble of blonde bristle covering his scalp and cheekbones and piercing angelic blue eyes. His favourite item of attire, winter or summer, was a luxurious pale fur coat, complemented with a string of pearls sometimes. He was from Queensland and worked as a horse-drawn coach driver. You might assume Robbie was gay, but he had a girlfriend, whom I met once or twice. They were both vegetarian, animal rights activists, and zealous about protecting animals of any kind. We weren't even allowed to kill the cockroaches that lived behind the hot water heater. Robbie used to complain hotly that his boss, the owner of the coach business, was overworking and underfeeding his horses. One morning, on a day I'd actually gone to work and everybody else was out of the flat, Mum came down to shower. She entered the bathroom and discovered a turkey staring at her. And a heavyweight one, as turkeys go. In extreme situations, Mum can be quite unflustered, about 50% of the time. This was one of them. So, after some introductory gobbling, where each party sought to assert their claim to the space, she made her peace and was able to edge around it into the shower. After finishing her ablutions, she left the turkey where it was and went upstairs to dress. Half an hour later, as she was having her breakfast and wondering about the turkey's presence, the buzzing went. Those students' digs had 2 entrance doors, which both gave onto the driveway tunnel, alley-like thing. The one to the kitchen, out of which Mum stepped, and the other further up towards the street, where the two nice policemen were standing. "Hello, can I help you?" In the face of authority, Mum's best English Catholic girl accent comes to the fore. "Does a Mr. Robert Burns live here?" "Robert? No. Oh, you mean Robbie. I'm not sure of his surname." "Is Robbie around, man?" "No, I'm afraid he isn't. You see, we've had a report about a stolen turkey and thought Robbie might be able to help us with our inquiries." "A turkey?" "Yes, a turkey. Have you seen one?" Right then, a movement in the corner of Mum's eye made her realise she may not have shut the bathroom door properly. Something feathered was moving around the kitchen. Mum walked casually up towards the policeman. I imagine her still holding a mug of Earl Grey tea in one hand. "Why ever would anyone steal a turkey? It seems quite an odd choice. Why not a video or stereo player?" "We're coming up to Christmas, ma'am, and Mr. Burns is known to us as a bit of a do-gooder, always going around trying to save animals. We think he may have stolen the turkey to save its life," his colleague put in, helpfully. "Well, that's nice of him, isn't it?" "No, not really, ma'am. Stealing is against the law, even turkeys." "Oh, yes, I suppose it is." Mum, ever the diplomat, was level with the policeman by this time, and as they turned to face her, the policeman turned away from the kitchen, just as a beak protruded from the kitchen door. "Isn't it a gorgeous day?" Mum walked out of the street, lifting her face to the sun. "Careful, madam, the traffic." The policeman followed her, and as Mum turned to face them, the turkey hopped out of the kitchen door with a plumpish little jump, shaking his stumpy wings, pleased to be free. But with deft showmanship, she refused to let her case waver, maintaining firm eye contact with the policeman. "Well, if we do see a turkey, we will let you know." "Thank you, and tell Robbie to give us a ring when he gets in. Here's my card." Mum kept smiling for the entire time until the policemen were safely down the street, while the turkey kept pecking for titbits in the driveway. I'd like to report that thanks to her brief yet brave action in the animal resistance, Mum helped to save an innocent turkey from the butcher's cleaver. But unfortunately, the policeman returned that evening. This time Robbie was in residence. The turkey, which belonged to Robbie's employer, the stable owner, was returned to its rightful executioner, and Robbie had to go down to the police station for some serious words. Robbie claimed he kept on the policeman's case for hours, arguing the turkey's and the horse's welfare. I don't think he kept his job as a coachman, but he did manage to avoid arrest, getting away with just a warning. Perhaps they just let go of him to be rid of him. Did the turkey end up as Christmas dinner? I have no idea. But a few weeks later, Robbie took me to Taronga Zoo. That is another story. Thanks for watching this. If you'd like to hear or read any other stories, I post on kevinbooth.substack.com under the name Dreaming of Cities, where you can become a subscriber for free, or if you really want to support the arts, you can become a paid subscriber, and that helps me earn a living from my art and writing. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you again.